Okay, so I'm going to get started. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to put it on slideshow. Can everyone see what I'm doing?
Yes.
Okay, you can see my screen.
Yes.
And I may come off of the full screen just so I can do when I do a few demos in a little while. Um, but I have a very packed schedule. Honestly, this could probably be 3 sessions, 2 sessions, but I'm going to try to do as much as I can in one session. Oh, we got have somebody else that I will admit to the session. So I guess I'll introduce myself really briefly. My name is Amy Jansen. I'm the business librarian here on campus, and we are really trying to step up our support for the graduate programs here at Southern. We have quite a few of them now. We not only have master's level programs, we have several we have several doctoral programs, not PhD programs. But so we're really trying to collaborate with the graduate school to kind of up our support for grad students because you are a growing body of students and you're doing advanced research, and it's really important that you feel like you have a really good knowledge of what's available to you also within, aside from research skills, what's available to you within the library collections and our services. So I'm just gonna go ahead. So what I'm going to talk about today, and I've done this session a couple times now last year, and every time I sort of add stuff to it, what I really need to do is take stuff out of it, and all I do is add. But I want to explore specialized databases, talk about advanced searching, talk about citation tracing a little bit. Look at some other key resources, which I will go over really quickly because that seems to be the area that that could be its own session. Really, it's about gray literature, preprints, finding all of that stuff. AI research tools, again, that could be its own session, but I do try to weave that into everything I talk about today because there are some tools that are really good and that are really useful, especially for graduate students. So I don't want to ignore that. Even though I have it at the end of the session, I will be talking about it regarding a few other topics earlier. And then just a reminder that you all have a librarian who specializes in your subject area. So obviously, for the DBA program, I am the librarian, but we have education, and Carla is our education librarian. We have several programs in education. We have social work. We have we have a few of them. I won't go into all of our offerings, but there are librarians that are specialized and who serve those specific departments and programs. So it's great to get to know who that person is. And if you don't know, feel free to kind of raise your hand and ask me because I can give you their contact information. So exploring specialized databases. So I just want to talk a little bit about what they are and why you might want to use them. So probably everybody's familiar with Google Scholar, but if you've ever been to the library's website, we have gobs of other databases and they're very specialized in their focus. Some of them are indexed in Southern Search, so you can find most of that information in Southern Search, but not everything. So especially in business. So I'll just put that as an aside. There are lots of business databases that we have, aside from our article databases, that aren't indexed in Southern Search. And when I say Southern Search, I say the library's catalog or collection. And I can just briefly show you that in just a second if you're not familiar with that. So there's a few reasons why we might want to go dig into a specific database like PsycInfo or sociology databases or some of the nursing databases. So there's precision there. So we have really high quality content that's relevant. We have depth so that you might miss formats that you might miss in a general search in Google Scholar and in Southern Search. Some of that content is not indexed other places. They use controlled vocabularies. So some of you who are might be in, and I didn't get to, I know that we have a couple students, I didn't get to hear what your programs are, but you might have controlled language that you use. So whether it's mesh headings for some of the sciences, medicine, it might be the PICO, the patient population intervention comparison, is it outcome and time, that type of controlled vocabulary. So the functionality also, the advanced search options are really good in those databases. So it's really, really possible to kind of drill down into what you really need. And then we have other kinds of databases aside for those subject specific that are abstract and citations, and some for systematic reviews. So that'll take me to my next page. So I kind of have this table that covers, so those subject-specific databases I have, the general library catalog, you all know. You're probably, even if you haven't really done a lot of searching in Southern Search, you probably know the concept of what you're looking for in a library catalog, that broad coverage. Let me bit somebody else to the way. The subject-specific databases have that deeper coverage, and then our abstract and citation databases are very often broad and multidisciplinary, and they can do citation tracing and tracking. And I'm going to talk about that in a little while. So this is where, if you're a grad student, you're probably doing literature reviewing, heavy literature reviewings. So you're probably going to want to do some of that citation tracing where you're looking forwards and backwards from maybe a seminal paper in your area, or you have a set of papers that are really key and influential, and you want to find who cited them and what they've cited and kind of sync it all together. So it really helps you like map the scholarly ecosystem. So some of those databases are Scopus, Web of Science, the subject specific, we'll talk, I'm going to do a search in PsycInfo in a minute, but we have different subject specific databases. ERIC is education, Medline is medicine, CINAHL nursing, Business Source Premier has business articles, PsycInfo, it's pretty obvious. So a lot of what we'll find on the bottom row, systematic review, evidence-based practice, there are certain databases that are specialized in that. So, and this is going to apply not as much, well, systematic reviews apply to business, but evidence-based practice. So that would be in like nursing, in medicine, in Cochrane, in CINAHL, in Medline, those databases. So this is just a table to kind of get you familiarized with, okay, we have lots of databases, but they're not all the same. Some of them are those subject specific ones. Some of them talk about have abstracts and don't have full text, like Scopus. That's one of our big abstract databases that don't have full text articles, but they map and index just gobs of literature that you won't find other places, and it's quite authoritative. So this is just kind of an overview of that. So finding the right databases, I'm just kind of, the library website has this A through Z database list. And that's kind of your starting point. Consulting your subject librarian is another starting point. If you're just completely lost and you don't know where to start, feel free to ask that person. So advanced searching, and we're going to move into, I'll do a little bit of actual hands-on kind of searching in a minute. And let me, I realized that some of you, and I'm missing the chat. They are available online. So anybody who's a student, staff, faculty member is able to access our databases. And I'm going to put the website of the library here, and we're going to look at that A through Z list in just a minute. So I just put a link to my slides in case I realized I posted it at the very beginning of the session, but if you want to follow along with me on your computer and you want to just kind of follow and maybe even do some of the hands-on, some of the exercises, not exercises, but as I do a demo, you can kind of go along and do your own thing in the same database. You have the slides to kind of guide you. And then I just put a link to the library's website in case anyone was a little unsure of that. I don't want to assume that. So yes, all of our databases are available remotely to students. They're not available to people who don't have student, staff, faculty IDs or net IDs. So you cannot access those if you're a guest. The only way guests can access our databases is if they come into our library and access them from our two guest computers. So that's the only way you have access. These are proprietary databases that we have subscriptions to and that the library, the university pays for. So, oops, let's go back. So just to kind of emphasize why we want to focus on um, more advanced searching. So our goal is to really get beyond just like a simple keyword search. We want to get to something that's reproducible. That, if you ever get involved in working on a big systematic review or a meta-analysis and you're working with lots of people, you're going to have to reproduce all of your searches. You're going to have to track and be able to kind of point back to what search terms, what strings you use. So we want to make this reproducible. Whatever you're searching for right now, you want to kind of get beyond that, kind of adding three keywords together to a more kind of a search string that is built and focused, and you can kind of even add in your methodology of writing your paper that you used in your and when you were doing database searching. So the benefits is it just reduces that noise and irrelevant results. Reproducibility, I just talked about that. You can report that in your thesis or dissertation methodology. The logic is universal. So that Boolean logic where, the whole and, or, not, that's all universal, but the syntax, those field codes or those wildcards, those can vary by database. So you always want to look at the search help or the search tips link in a new database to make sure you're aware of their specific symbols. Just to note that a lot of databases are moving towards what we call a natural language searching. For example, Business Source Premier is one of our EBSCO databases that is doing that. That is really the trend. And when I say natural language searching, I mean just like you would search in Google. You would put a few, social media, anxiety, body image. That's kind of a natural language search. Just throwing in keywords and your search interface, your search engine will be able to kind of parse it out for you. But most of our databases are not there yet. You still do need to use that logic in the syntax. And I'll show you that some of the phrase searching, the truncation, the Boolean operators, they're not as effective. So you can throw in those words I just said and get a lot out of a Google search. I mean, what you'll find are more like websites and that sort of thing. But you're not going to really, your search is not going to be as effective in some of our academic databases. So some of the, and I guess I got ahead of myself. I put a little disclaimer about natural language searching at the top. So phrase searching, if you put just a note that, if you're looking for climate change, put those in quotes. So that's going to search that exact phrase. And this is going to be kind of universal across databases. So you want to make sure that it finds climate and change right next to each other somewhere in the record. Truncation. So if you want to look for educate, education, educational, you want to use that asterisk. And sometimes it's a question mark. Sometimes it's an exclamation point, depending on the database, but usually it's an asterisk. The wildcard is that word that letter that could be a few different options. So woman, women, and then Boolean operators try to stick to uppercase. Some databases will accept lowercase, but just most of them require, not most, some of them require uppercase. It's hard to figure out which ones do and which ones don't. So keep your operators to capitalized. So and, or, not, keep them caps. That proximity search is, if you're feeling comfortable adding that in, that can find terms that are near each other. So tax within 5 words of reform in the record. Field searching, again, that's another way to search specific fields. And I just gave an example of JSTOR's help file, like how they just outline what their specific syntax that they use in JSTOR. JSTOR is a big kind of multidisciplinary database that we have access to. So AI discovery and summarization. Okay. Um, a lot. I have so much to say here. So I would suggest different things to you all than I would suggest to undergraduates. And I do mention this to undergraduates, but I say, have a very different spiel for them. But I think that ASTA right now is really good. It uses Semantic Scholars bank of knowledge information. So both were developed by the Allen Institute, but they have different functions. So Semantic Scholar is more of the academic, AI-powered academic, that platform, where ASTA is more of like the agentic kind of AI tool, and it acts kind of like a research assistant. You can ask it questions. You can't really do that in Semantic Scholar. So I'll show you ASTA in just a minute. Perplexity is also pretty good. I think undergraduates seem to really like it. It can really hold its own against chatbots, but it also cites its sources. Um, the free tier is okay for simple research, so it's much better than chatbots for research question because it does cite those sources, it links to them. But for the really deep research, you kind of need a paid account. So it depends on whether I would say we've kind of evolved to this point where you probably, if you're serious about using AI tools, you probably need to start paying for access because some of the free versions aren't giving you enough benefit for what you get. It's all about finding what you like. So it's not like, you'll go bankrupt if you pay for all of them every month, but maybe play around with them all and see if you like any and which ones might be worth it for you to kind of invest in a little bit higher level tier where you have more access and better access to deeper research. ASTA and Semantic Scholar are a different situation. So those are free, but Perplexity and Elicit are both let's just say they're more commercial chatbots or commercial research assistants that would like you to pay for a subscription. So Elicit also has a free tier, and that can do like paper searches, summaries, chatting with papers. So it's very good. The free tier is pretty good for casual research, but again, they have this huge new systematic review module, I guess, I don't know what to call it, but it's really good for deeper research. And it goes up into the hundreds per month but it's really for researchers who are doing, working with groups, doing systematic reviews, doing deeper research. So you probably aren't, kind of in that category yet. But I just want you to be aware that some of these AI tools really are evolving to a point where they can do a lot for you. And it's good to be aware of what's out there. And I'm not seeing the chat, so I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Are you able to see my screen right now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I will. I'm going to do some searching in a minute. So, I just want to, I'll get to that in the next, page. Is that your question, Teresa, or maybe I'm missing your question?
No, yes, correct. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little searching in PsycInfo. So I just want to show you a few things, and let's see if it's going to still screen share. Okay, hopefully you guys see. So this is our A through Z database list. And from our library website, I guess I should just back up for those of you who haven't really gotten much into the library website, and I talk to graduate students who confess to me that they really don't even know what the library website looks like and where it is. So no shame in that. If this isn't told to you, taught to you, introduced to you, how would you know? Especially our grad students, like I said, are extremely busy. So this is the library's website, library.southernct.edu. So you can get to our databases here under Find a Database, but you can also go through this all database list under Find. Now, just a warning, this is all going to change probably within 6 months. So we're going to have a new layout, a new kind of design for our website. Hopefully it will be intuitive enough, you'll be able to figure it out. But if you wake up one day and you log into the library's website, or you go to the library's website and it looks completely different. Don't be alarmed. There are major changes coming. It probably won't happen until the summer or even later, but I just want you to be aware of that. So I'm going to go to that A through Z list. And hopefully, sometimes my Google Chrome just freaks out and I can't figure out why. So, and this looks like one of the moments. I'm going to stop sharing, close it down. This is what I usually have to do. Close it and open it again. Sorry about that. I don't know if it's my computer, my Google Chrome. I should probably be doing this on a different browser, but I am going to stick to this for now. Okay. All right, so hopefully you see, I'm just going to open another tab and go to my website and get it here. Does everyone see the A through Z database list now?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
And if I miss your chat while I'm talking, please interrupt me. I don't mind that at all. Okay, so let's first go into psych info. I'm just going to go to the P's and I'm going to scroll down. So I picked Psych Info because I was really trying to think of a database that has cross-disciplinary use. And Psych Info is one of these databases that really I find students in business use it. I find students in psychology, in social work, in education. I find students across the board can really have been able to use this database and some of the contents for their research, because it really, Psych Info has lots of interdisciplinary stuff indexed in there. So I'm going to there's a few things we could do. We could build a search string here. So I could put, TI for title and put my social media or Instagram or TikTok and body image. So I'm using the quotes, which is going to keep those terms together. And then I'm going to add N5. So within 5 words of it, I want it to say negative. So this is one way to do that. I'm just going to move the screen over so I can see it better. The other thing we can do is an advanced search. Well, I'll show you in just a second. But let's just say I built my search string. Okay, so within the title, I want it to say social media or Instagram or TikTok and body image within 5 words of negative. So I'm looking for really how these social media platforms have negatively imaged body image. So this is good. Okay, so I have 57 results. And just to show you, if we can definitely select only, it's going to show you the little kind of star that says peer reviewed, so you know what's peer reviewed. Every database is a little bit different. So, if you were in Southern Search, there's the left-hand menu that tells you, you can click the checkbox and it only shows peer reviewed. But these are a little different. Every database is a little different. So I'm going to have to see up at the top is where my peer reviewed check is. So I'm going to select only peer reviewed here. So that reduces my number to about 46. Now I'll just kind of scroll through here and take a look because I just want to show you a few things here. So it's sorting usually by relevance. You can select date if you'd rather see the newest stuff first. The other thing you might want to do is really to sort it only more recent results. I'm going to leave it like it is, but I'll just show you the filters. So let's say you want it to tell you A lot of times students come in and they say, I really can only use stuff that's published in the last 5 years. So you could check that if you wanted. What the heck? I'm going to do it. Okay, so I filtered myself a little bit down, so I have 41 results. Now, if I had just added social media, Instagram, TikTok, body image, negative, just without any of that TI parentheses, quotes, I would probably have like 100,000 results. But since I was very specific, I was instructing the database what I wanted, those very specific and precise kind of operators, it's a more targeted search. Now, let's say if I had wanted, well, before I do that, I'm just going to take a look at an article. So I like to point this out because even though I definitely pointed out to undergraduates, but as grad students, you are probably even more focused on citing than undergraduates are. So just to be aware of every database is going to offer you the option to copy the citation. So if you click, it's going to allow you to do, I know I'm so APA focused, but I know that not everybody uses APA. So it does offer Chicago, it offers MLA, but APA is the default because we're in a psychology database. Obviously, it's the American Psychological Association style guide, which is what I'm in business, which is what business uses. But some of the other departments, programs on campus might use different citation styles. But you could just copy and paste this and put this into your reference list. Now, one thing you might want to invest in, and I know one of our other librarians, Rebecca Hedreen, has done some citation manager sessions. You could talk to her or you could talk to me. You could always have an individual session with any of us at any time. So if you really want to learn to use, say, Zotero, you can get in touch with one of us and we'll show you how to set it up on your computer. Zotero is a citation management program. So it organizes all of your papers, your publications, all your research. You can put them in folders. It spits out a bibliography for you. It does a lot of that kind of heavy work for you. If you did, for example, use Zotero, I'm not going to do that now, but Rebecca shows you all the mechanics of this in her session, or she did. I believe it's recorded and on the graduate school's website under the academic writing series. To export in RIS format, it will automatically dump this record into your Zotero program, which I do have on my computer, but I'm not going to do that right now. So that's a really handy tool that most databases are able to kind of dialogue with your citation manager. Some of you might use EndNote. There are other managers in the sciences. Some people use Mendeley. But just keep in mind that almost all of these databases will speak to different citation managers. So that was just one example. Going back to my results list, let's say we wanted to do an advanced search. This might be where you want to select something, say you're looking for not necessarily just a regular article, but you really want to target the methodology. You want to only focus on, say, systematic reviews or meta-analyses. So you could put that in here. You could add meta-analysis, systematic review. I'm going to put meta-analysis for now. And then I'm going to search once again. This is probably going to seriously limit my searches. Yeah, so I'm only finding one meta-analysis in PsycInfo for this, my specific search string. So, and if you click on that record, you're going to see, if you scroll down under the record, and I keep going down, first of all, the keyword, it's under the keywords, but there should also be a field for methodology. So under methodology, this would be, if your instructor asks you to find systematic reviews only, this would be where you want to check, okay, it's a meta-analysis or a systematic review or a literature review. That's the type of publication this is. And I realize what the time is, so I'm going to have to really, really get going faster. So that's just a quick glimpse into PsycInfo. Moving over to, and let's see, I'm going to just do it from here so I don't lose all my, so I just wanted to quickly show you ASTA. So I don't know if anyone has used an AI research tool like Asta before, but Asta is the one I was talking about that searches Semantic Scholars database. These are going to be, some of them, many of them are abstracts, but they do have a whole horde of full text papers too. So and again, it's using that bank of papers that Semantic Scholar has. So this is not going to dive into any of our proprietary databases. Okay, so you're only going to be seeing the open access stuff here, the stuff that's available. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means this is not going to show you everything on a topic. You still need to look in our proprietary databases for stuff that we pay for subscriptions to, because a lot of journals are snotty and snooty, and they don't make they're not open access. So you have to pay for subscriptions. And so just keep that in mind as you're searching ASTA. But let's say we want to look for similar, I'm just going to say I need papers on social media and its negative effect on body image. And they should be systematic reviews. Okay, so I think I have a period in there, but that's okay. So ASTA is going to be more of that research assistant. So unlike Semantic Scholar, I would just put in my keyword terms, but they're kind of, you can use that sort of chatbot language here. And it's going to kind of first sift through your criteria, and then it's going to pop on the right-hand side some papers that fit what I need. Now, ASTA doesn't really have a way to save it. You can, in Psych Info, I should pop, while I'm waiting for that, I'll just show you. In Psych Info, you can log in with your EBSCO account. So I would suggest, if you're going to be doing heavy research in our databases, create a My EBSCO account, and that allows you to save your results here. So let's say I wanted to kind of save this. If I'm not logged in, it goes into the void. So it will not save it anywhere. So just be aware of that. Unless you're logging in, you create a My EBSCO, which is a free account, but it's not related to your Southern ID. This is an account you create for yourself. You don't even have to use your Southern email address for this. So create that if you do want to do a lot of searching here and save your results, because just warning that it will disappear otherwise when you leave the browser. So let's see if ASTA has come up with anything. So it found 74 papers. Now I like it because it can tell me what's relevant and what's like really relevant. So I'm going to get rid of everything that's somewhat relevant. I only want to see the really relevant stuff. And let's see, I want to put, I just want the more recent stuff. I don't know why the dates are in weird format like that. And then come over here. Going to close that. So it's narrowed it down considerably to 14 papers. And here I have not found, if anybody's able to figure this out, I have not found a way to save these to sort of my ASTA account. Even though I'm logged in, you have to create a login to get into ASTA. I can't find a way to save these to my accounts, but you can copy the bib text and then cut and paste that into your citation manager. And you can also click on the article, obviously, and it's going to bring you to the article in Semantic Scholar. So let's say I wanted to use this, you could always cut and paste the APA pre-formatted citation here and retrieve it from here. But
excuse me, sorry, Amy.
yeah.
Where can you see if it's peer reviewed?
Where can you see peer reviewed?
Yeah, on these articles on Asta.
Yeah, it's not going to show you that here. That's really something you're going to have to investigate on your own.
Okay.
So you'll have to look at, okay, what journal is it published in? And then maybe check out the journal. This is published in Body Image, which I know is a peer-reviewed journal. Most of what's in Semantic Scholar is peer-reviewed. They don't just have junk. So that's why I wouldn't suggest it if it was going to give you a bunch of stuff from predatory journals. So most of what you'll find in ASTA and Semantic Scholar are peer reviewed, but it doesn't there isn't like our databases, it doesn't have that kind of checkbox to kind of that's more comforting, I know.
Yeah.
So that's a quick, oops, let's go back to ASTA. That's a quick look at ASTA. Let me see if we have, yeah, that's just more information about the paper. So moving along to citation tracing, which is very much related to what I was just talking about. So this is something that maybe your advisor or the faculty in your program are telling you that this is really important. Oops, I won't go back to slideshow because I do want to, and hopefully you can see the text well enough. Let me know, just yell at me if you can't, and I'll enlarge it. So we can do backward citation tracing and forward citation tracing. So when I say backward citation tracing, we're going to look at the reference list of that key or seminal article that you found, look at the classic works, the foundational stuff, and that kind of grounds your lit review. And for that, it's usually okay to go back further. So, you know, especially in psychology, you're going to find seminal works from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and lots of work may have been published after that that really used those seminal works as their foundations. But you really need to kind of go back and find the origins of some of the theory that you might use in your research. And so that backward citation tracing might lead you to some of those works. Forward citation training is really tracing, is really to see what's new. Who has cited the articles since it was published? It reveals newer studies, evolving kind of debates, sometimes controversies, sometimes disagreements in the scholarly discourse. So that really keeps your research current and connected to kind of what's going on now, which you're also going to need to be aware of when you're doing your research and writing in your field. So both of those things are equally important. So again, this is just kind of a rehash of what I just said. So that's tracing is important just to find stuff that you might have missed and spot influential authors and networks. So the traditional tools for citation tracing are usually Google Scholar is one, that's one like surface level one. Web of Science and Scopus are the other two that I would say. So I'm just going to do a quick demo of Web of Science. Let me get back to the W's. So there is, say, an article. Let's see. I'm going to put the compassionate sexist, how benevolent. Just need to put in an article title because I want to show you. I'm just putting in the beginning of the title. Okay, yes, Heidig. That's the article I was looking for. So this is a pretty well-known work that was published in 2016. And this would be a way to this may be like the mid-level work, you know, where it's not the earliest and it's not also the most recent. So there have been quite a few scholars that have come after Heidig and Ferris and Heidig is published after this as well, that are talking about the same topics, but this is kind of somewhere in the middle. But maybe we want to go forwards and backwards. So we want to look at the citations. So who has cited the article? And then we can also go to the references of this specific article. So who are Heidig and Ferris from really citing in their work? So this map right here is also very good at kind of laying it out. And again, in this area, just because this is a subject area I'm familiar with, Glick is huge. That's a big name. Eagly is big. So this will kind of identify. Becker is actually another one. So this is going to kind of find that web of other authors, other researchers who are doing the same type of research in this area and link them. So it's very helpful to kind of give you an idea of where your paper falls and who else you might want to investigate. So if you're like, oh, I didn't catch this Jost article, or I missed this Masser article. So this is really helpful for that. Scopus has the same options. I'm not, just because I'm really running short of time, I'm not going to go into that, but and I do a whole separate, I'll have another session, one of these sessions later in this semester where I talk about journal quality. We're going to talk about all types of stuff. Retracted articles, metrics on journals, how we know which journals are good, are high quality, and which are not. How how you can assess good options for potential publication. So like a lot of graduate students really are thinking long term about publishing their work eventually. So it might be something you want to start thinking about now. But I am going to do another session on how to assess journal quality, and really, because there are gobs of predatory journals out there right now, and they might even contact you. If you start doing work in your area, they might contact you. I just got an email a couple days ago asking if I would be the editor of some ridiculous journal. And I looked it up and it's on the predatory list. So they are, and I am not qualified to be an editor of that journal, by the way. So like, that's how I knew that I should not, that was predatory. But so there's tons of predatory journals, but there are also tons of low quality journals. So I'll have a session about that later in the semester. And Scopus is very good at kind of letting you assess journal quality. That shows you all kinds of metrics for journals, the H indexes, trends analysis, how often they're mentioned in social media, linking them to author profiles. So using AI for citation network mapping. So this is something that is also, there are a couple tools that are really useful. I'm only going to show you Research Rabbit for the sake of time, but Connected Papers is really good too. That uses, again, the same Semantic Scholar database that ASTA uses, and that also lets you create a visual map of all the connected papers, and they have a free tier. So Research Rabbit, though, hopefully it still has me logged in. So if you give Research Rabbit your article, so let's say I'm just going to pick, just because I don't feel like typing it out, this article, why do women endorse hostile and benevolent sexism? I'm just going to I recently saved that, but I just want to show you what it looks like. So search for your article that you want to kind of map and see how it is situated. And it's going to ask you to select it. This one isn't. It's usually going to do references. Huh. Okay. It's wanting me to pay for that. All right, let's go back and see if I can try another article. All right, let's do, trying to think of an article that, the same one that I was just using. So Research Rabbit's whole interface has changed lately, and it seems like they want to start making money. So, okay, this is what it's supposed to be doing. I was afraid it was going to tell me I've run out of my free free searches. So on the lower right-hand corner, you're going to see it's going to link you to similar articles, and then it's going to link you to the references, and then that paper's references, and then who cited your article. So I had picked this sexist microaggressions, and let's say I want to see similar. So what is similar to my article? Again, I just mentioned Glick. That's a big author in this area. So it's going to do something similar to Web of Science, where it's going to kind of create this web. I mean, the nice thing about Research Rabbit is that it's not a proprietary database. So Web of Science, we have a subscription to that. We have access to some of it, not all of it. We have a subscription to some of Web of Science's content, and we're able to kind of do this within Web of Science. But this is something you can also take with you down the road. Research Rabbit, unless they start charging for everything, like a lot of AI tools are. But this offers a very powerful mapping mechanism. It used to be a little bit more rough and kind of homegrown looking, and now it looks a little more polished. But I also can see that they have this they didn't used to have this upgrade right here in the upper right hand corner. That wasn't kind of prominently featured. So just keep in mind that this could be something, let's go over here and see. Let's look at this one. This construction initial validation of the gendered microaggression scale for Black women. So that's going to take me usually, if I click on it, to that article in the AP PsycNet. So you might not, if you do find an article this way through Research Rabbit, it doesn't link in or hook into our subscriptions. So if this is an article you want, for example, I would copy and paste it and take a quick search in. I'm going to go to Bewley's and see if Bewley Library has it. And we do. So that's a good thing. So this is in the Journal of Counseling Psychology. Again, you see that it's peer reviewed here. So this would be where you could find full text. So if you do pop across, in Research Rabbit, because it's a free AI tool, so it doesn't have the full text. It's gonna, if it takes you to that link in the publisher's website, just take down the information, copy and paste the title, and come search Southern Search, because we do have that article full text for free. So don't pay for it and don't think we don't have it. Just always double check on the Southern Search, which is the library's collection and catalog. So that's a quick look at Research Rabbit. Some have called it a Spotify. So I'm going to get off for papers. It kind of has that feeling to it. A lot of these tools have really Spotified themselves. I think because it was Spotify, it's been such a success in the music world. So I just did the Web of Science and the Research Rabbit demo. Scopus is another one that we can take a very quick look at, because I know I haven't done Scopus. And I apologize, I'm going through it's not usually the way I like to do this. So this is the way Scopus looks. It's not affiliated with EBSCO. It's not Web of Science. It has a kind of whole different look to it. So I'm going to put my same article there. Actually, I'm going to put the article I just found. Okay, so I found my article. So again, Scopus has similar features. It has cited by, references. It only has 8 cited by here. There were more, I thought, in the other one of the other databases. Its impact is what I was talking about earlier. So the metrics for this particular journal or this particular article. So the Psychology of Women Quarterly, similar documents. The Scopus has so many uses. It also has uses for researchers and finding other researchers who are doing really focused in your area. So this is a tool, an institutional tool. Sometimes it's used to find research groups, but there's lots you can do in Scopus too. And again, it has kind of some metrics up in the upper right-hand corner, field-weighted citation impact, and what it means if you wanted to kind of, I'll talk about that in greater depth later in the semester if you want to come to that session. So I'm going to race through navigating gray literature, because this really is its own session, but it's very helpful for anyone who's doing anything with public policy, especially economics. So gray literature is very useful for a variety of reasons. So we call everything gray literature. It's stuff that's published that's beyond the commercial publishing world. So it could be government reports. It could be an NGO's paper. A lot of times, a lot of global organizations are publishing papers and white papers and preprints. All of that falls in gray literature. It means literature that isn't necessarily peer reviewed, but it may still be very relevant to your research. So, and it can avoid that publication bias. So stuff that goes through peer review has to be very traditional and scholarly. Sometimes stuff in gray lit is useful for what you're doing. So I won't really focus on this much, but just know that this exists. There are places where you can look for it. Feel free to contact me if you want help really navigating that. And there's a few suggestions here, and I think everybody has the link to this But I just want to mention primary sources, research data, preprint servers. Again, I know we've got 5 minutes left and I want to give you a chance to ask questions. So I'm just going to kind of race through that too. You have the slides. These are all the research data repositories in particular, pay attention to. There's a few places you can get free data that you can, rather than creating your own data, there are repositories that have the data that can be used that other people have collected, other scholars. So definitely take advantage of like ICPSR and IPUMS. Those are good sources. Preprint servers, again, those are articles that have not been published yet. Usually it's somewhere in the publishing process or just has been submitted, but they haven't been published yet. And we actually have a few of those linked on the library's A through Z list. ARXIV and ARXIV, or that's a psychology one, obviously, are a couple of them. So I have some information about using AI research tools. I really wanted to show you Notebook LM, but which really allows you to kind of upload your documents, your papers. So like, let's say you have 5 articles and you can ask it questions about your articles. Like, do you see any themes among these 5 articles? It's really useful for that. It's a Google product. And I was going to demo it, but I want to give you a chance to ask questions. So that was one thing to be aware of. There are other tools that are really good for summarizing, like Scholarcy. We have the writing proofreading. Probably everyone's heard of Grammarly. Trinka is another one. And honestly, ChatGPT is pretty good at proofreading and writing. So if you have a really awkward sounding paragraph and you want help, those chatbots are pretty good. Just don't ask it for a list of references in any given topic or on any subject, because that is where it's going to hallucinate, and half of what you get, it's going to make up. So, and just when I thought everybody was aware of that, we get questions in the library every week about where, I can't find this article, but I got the citation. Usually I don't hear where they got it from, because usually people don't want to confess that. But so just keep in mind that ChatGPT, Google Gemini, those chatbots really aren't made for research. They're just making stuff up that sounds good, and that they even sometimes pick an author who publishes in that field, but then they just make up something that they might have written, but they actually didn't. So be aware of that. Again, concerns about AI tools, lots of them right now. For me right now, my current worry is de-skilling. It's like we're trying to teach people to summit Mount Everest, but we're asking the person to use an assistant to do the actual work for them, but then asking them, giving them the award for summiting them. But okay, that's terrible, terrible comparison. But I worry every day about students now, so, that really are not developing the skills and tool and kind of understanding of how to do research that they should. So that's my biggest concern about AI tools, is that over-reliance and de-skilling that I see happening among especially younger students. And again, tapping your research partners. Okay, I have 3 minutes, so I'm going to shut up now and see if anybody has questions, because I didn't want to, I really meant to offer more time for that. And I see that there's a question in the chat. Yeah, I think I'll just answer Teresa's question right now. Research Rabbit is a great way to identify, and so Web of Science, to see where there are gaps. So, if you see something, you're looking up a few papers in a topic and you're seeing, oh, okay, a bunch of things published in 1990s and then a bunch of things in 2015, and then nothing else. It might be that nobody has kind of carried the flag for that topic. IEEE. Okay, so let me take a look at, I thought that we have some stuff for IEEE.
There's actually a website, IEEE Explorer, that if you had the subscription, you have full access to all their articles and download. If you don't, then you only get a partial access to it.
I thought we had some of the content, but I'm not seeing anything here. Our STEM, we have a STEM librarian. I wish I could ask her right now, but I don't think we have access to it.
Okay,
It is I know that it is very expensive. And that might be that we didn't have enough usage to justify the expense. But I can get back to you about that for sure. I know that it's something that our STEM faculty really want, but it's really expensive. So let me check on that. But it's not on our A through Z list, which troubles me, which makes me think we probably don't
okay.
have it. But keep in mind, you can request, if you come across a paper we don't have, a publication, we can get just about anything through interlibrary loan. So from the library's website, and we rely on this a lot, especially in areas where those databases are really expensive. Go to services from, oops, I don't know what, oh, okay, under services, my Chrome is freaking out again, and you can even see it in action freaking out. If anybody is there on the library's website, go to services and you're going to see interlibrary loan, because my Chrome is just melting down. And you can, I'm just gonna, I mean, there's no point in showing you my Chrome meltdown, and you can request anything from just you have to log in with your Southern credentials.
Okay.
And, I have to say, I request stuff through interlibrary loan all the time. I get stuff within 24 to 48 hours, and you get the email link, and it's really easy and fast. So I really have had good luck for my own requests. Any other questions? And if I can please ask you to please fill out this survey. This is really helpful. It's the School of Graduate and Professional Studies survey. It's a post-event survey just to see like what's helpful, what's not helpful, what you want to see more of, what didn't work, what did work. That's really helpful if you have just a minute or two to fill that out. And Teresa, yes, maybe I posted the link to the slides after you came in. Let me post it again. So I put the slides up on Google as a Google file. So I can link it rather than sharing a PowerPoint presentation. I find that works a little better for me for situations like this, so I don't have to email it. Any other questions? And I'm sorry, I didn't get to introduce, we didn't get to introduce our other Teresa or Allison, but thank you for coming today.
What's interesting is I clicked the link to the survey and it said I've already submitted a survey because I submitted one last week.
Oh, Mary Ann's not still here, is she? Mary Ann's from the school. She came in, but see, that is not a survey that the library has put together. I'll have to let her know that. She just asked me if I would distribute that to you all. I'll let her know that, but thanks for trying.
Mhm.
And if you'd rather, send an email to me and if there's something you would like to see in the future, but oh, I put in my wrong email address. I didn't put the 2 after my name. Since the survey is telling you that, feel free to let me know if there's other things that you want to see that would be helpful for you as grad students.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks for coming, everyone. I will stop